Hey everyone, this is Zero Budget Geek and welcome to another hero guide for Sentinels of the Multiverse. Today we're going to be taking a look at Fanatic. This character tends to be a little bit hard for some players to play as because she is a little bit different. She's not necessarily straightforward as many of the other characters. She's kind of what I call sort of a leader type character, in that you have to be really aware of what the situation is and then play her cards accordingly, so she doesn't just play a straightforward way. So let's take a look at her base power here, which is exorcism. So that says Fanatic deals one target, one melee damage and one radiant damage. So essentially she's dealing 2 damage to one target, but it's split between 2 different types, and it's important to remember that because some things may be either immune to some of it, or if there's damage reduction that would affect it. Also, if there's a damage buff, that will get even stronger. So it's a great ability, especially with damage buffs. So let's look at our first card here, Absolution. One of the cards you want to get into play pretty quickly. When you play this card, you will gain 1 health, but that's not what's really important. What's important is that this gives you a new power. You'll be able to attack something for 3 damage, but you can choose to make that either melee, fire, or radiant damage, letting her get around different kinds of damage immunities. And this is an equipment and a relic card for things that affect that, but most importantly it's a limited card, so you can only have 1 of these in play. But definitely one of her best equipment cards that you want to get out there. It'll help her do more damage. Let's see, we have the Aegis of Resurrection. Not that great of a card. It is another limited relic equipment card. Basically says when she drops down to 0 or fewer hit points, you restore her to 10 hit points and then destroy this card. So you probably never want to use this card. You don't want to be in that position, but if you know she's about to go down, then this is a good card to play and save her. Busan Sencha is one of her many one-shot attack cards, and this is kind of like your this is your meat and potatoes of this character. She plays this card, does damage, and lets her draw a card. Drawing cards with Fanatic, like any other character, is very important, so because there's a lot of shenanigans that she can pull with that. So Busan Sencha, do some damage, draw a card. And Chastise. So here's where you wanna, maybe in a certain turn you need to focus away from damage and you need to, try to protect herself or some characters. You can use this Chastise. You place this on a non-hero target other than a character card. So you can't put this on the villain, but you can put it on the villain's, minions or environment creatures, and essentially that target will not take any damage, nor can it deal damage. So basically you put that on something to silence it for a little while. And let me go back on the end. To keep this Chastise up, you will have to take damage each turn, but you can choose not to take the damage and let it get destroyed. So Consecrated Ground, one of her great important cards. This is a one-shot that lets you destroy an ongoing card or an environment card, and if that wasn't already great, on top of that she gets to deal 1 radiant damage to 3 different targets. Definitely a great card. Try to save it up for those really annoying ongoing environment cards, and try to take advantage of the damage that it's going to deal. And if you have some damage buffs going on, that will be even better. So Divine Focus, one of her kind of trump cards here. You play this Divine Focus when you have a lot of cards in hand that you're not going to need, and at the start of every single turn, not just your turn, every single hero turn and villain and environment turn, you will have the option to discard a card, and if so, you'll deal 2 damage, 2 radiant damage to the villain, or the target with the highest hit point, the villain target. So usually that's the villain. And when your turn comes back around, you can do yourself 4 damage to keep this going. If not, you can just not take the damage and get destroyed. But remember what I said before, that you want to draw a lot of cards. This is one of the things you can do with it. Very, very powerful card, especially with damage buffs. And we have Divine Sacrifice. Not really that useful, but it can come across in a pinch. It will deal 3 targets 1 irreducible radiant damage, which is really, really great to get around those annoying villain cards that reduce damage. The problem with this is that anything that you hit with that will now start, damaging you when they get a chance to attack. So use this sparingly. And Boldin, again, one of her, sort of commander, leader type cards. And Boldin, you play this next to a hero card, and that hero may use an additional power during their power phase. Of course, at the end of that hero's turn, Fanatic needs to pay 2 health to keep this card going. If not, she drops it off. So, good card. End of days. Very hard to use this card properly, because what this does is at the start of the environment turn, you're going to destroy all cards in play other than this card, character cards, and relics, and then this card gets destroyed. So this pretty much wipes the board, and you really only want to use this maybe towards the beginning of the game. The villain got a lot of cards that are really bad for you, can't deal with any other way, or if you're just in really that bad of a situation, you sort of need a reset. There are some shenanigans that you can pull with this with some specific cards, but I won't go into that here. But essentially, this is a board clearing card, and use it, in an emergency. Alright, Final Dive. This is a card I really like. It lets you immediately destroy a target with 4 fewer hit points, and then you get to do whatever health that card had, you get to do that to another target. A lot of villain minions have 4 fewer hit points, so it's pretty easy to get them down that low. So you can pretty much pick up that minion and slam the villain with it. So you sort of get a 2-shot with this card. Really useful. Holy Nova. I not that powerful card, but I really like this card. It deals all non-hero targets 1 radiant damage, and all the heroes will get 1 hit point. Now that 1 hit point is not much, but you combine this with some damage boosting from some other stuff, and this could be pretty powerful. But it's never usually a waste to use. The Prayer of Desperation. Again, this is a situational card here. You play this card when you're low on cards, and basically you'll draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand, and then you immediately end your turn. So the turn that you play this, you won't get to do anything else. It's just simply to refill your hand, but you may want to do that to set up for some other cards. Synchrosanic Martyr, probably one of her worst cards here. It is an ongoing card, and you can set it out there and use it when you want to. And basically, Fanatic will deal herself 5 radiant damage, and then she'll deal 1 target an equal amount of damage, equal to the amount of radiant damage that she's taken this turn. So basically sacrificing life to do a lot of damage to 1 target. Generally that's not that great taking damage, but it can be useful situationally. Sanctify Strike, another card that you're going to be using all the time. It deals 1 target 1 melee damage, and you get to draw a card, and she gains a hit point. So again, it's essentially a free card because you're playing it and getting melee and damage and health. So just shoot these out there when you get them. Smite the Transgressor is another really great card. Again, it just does one target 2 damage, and you get to do an additional power on your turn. Use it when you have several ongoing cards in play, and you'll get a lot of use out of it. Undaunted, this card doesn't really come into play all that much, but it's nice to have out there. Whenever she would take exactly 1 damage, you prevent that damage, and if you would be dealt 5 or more damage from a single source, you reduce that damage by 2. That could be useful. Retribution. This is pretty much her final kill card. You have to discard 3 cards to play this, so you're losing 4 cards. But if you do, she deals 1 target radiant damage equal to the difference between her current hit points and her maximum hit points. So when you're low on health, you can do a lot of damage with this card here. Zealous Offense is a tough card to use because to keep this in play, you have to have dealt 3 damage at some point during your turn, but you'll get to choose 2 targets at the beginning of your turn, and then those targets will not be able to do damage on their next turn, or until your next turn. So you can use this to silence 2 things, but you need to be able to do 3 damage, which she can't do with her base power, but she can do it with absolution. So that's pretty much all her cards. Again, she is a leader type card. You have to be aware of the situation and use her cards as appropriate to the situation, but definitely give Fanatic a try. You won't be disappointed. So that'll end it here for this episode. Thanks for watching. Check the annotations for more hero guides. See you guys soon.